My eyes flew open in the middle of the night, the soft glow from the streetlights outside our apartment window in Seattle casting long shadows across the room. There was Amelia, my female roommate of 2 years, sitting on the edge of my bed, her hand gently brushing against my cheek as if I were a fragile dream she was afraid to break. "Sophia," she whispered, her voice trembling with a vulnerability I had never heard before. "I can't keep pretending anymore. I love you." My heart slammed against my ribs, confusion flooding my mind as I lay there frozen, pretending to still be asleep while her words echoed in the silence. What was happening? Amelia, the confident art student who always had a smile for everyone, the one who had become like a sister to me in this big city far from my conservative Texas family, was saying things that did not make sense in our world of late-night study sessions and shared pizza dinners. I stayed still, my breathing shallow as she continued, her fingers tracing a light path down my arm. Tears glistened on her cheeks and she leaned closer, her breath warm against my skin. "You've been everything to me, and I know this is wrong, but I can't stop it." The words hit me like a punch, stirring something deep inside that I did not want to acknowledge. Was this a dream? A joke? But the sincerity in her voice told me otherwise. I waited until her breathing evened out and she slipped back to her own bed across the room, my mind racing with 1,000 questions that kept me awake until dawn. The clock on the nightstand read 3:17, and every minute felt like an hour as I replayed the moment in my head. Amelia had always been the steady one, the friend who listened when my parents called to pressure me about finding a good man back home. Now her touch and her confession had cracked open a door I never knew existed. The next morning the sunlight streamed in through the blinds, normal as ever, but nothing felt the same. I got up, made coffee like usual, the rich aroma filling our small living room in the Capitol Hill apartment we shared to save on rent. When Amelia emerged from her room, her eyes avoided mine at first. "Morning, Sophia," she said casually, grabbing a mug from the cabinet, but I could not let it go. "Amelia, last night I wasn't asleep the whole time. What was that about?" Her face paled, the mug nearly slipping from her hands. She set it down slowly, her shoulders slumping as she faced me across the kitchen counter. "You heard me. I am sorry. I've been holding this in for months. I'm in love with you, Sophia. I've known I was gay since high school, but with you it's different. It's real." Her confession hung in the air, the kitchen suddenly too small for both of us. My mind reeled. Me, Sophia, the girl who had dated a couple of guys in college, whose parents back in Texas expected her to marry a nice man and settle down with grandkids someday. This could not be happening. But as I looked at Amelia's tear-filled eyes, the beautiful woman with her dark wavy hair and kind brown eyes that had always made me feel safe, something stirred in me that I could not name. "Amelia, I don't know what to say. This changes everything." She nodded, wiping her eyes with the sleeve of her oversized sweater. "I know. And there's more. Remi, my ex from before we moved in together. She doesn't know yet, but I broke up with her because of how I feel about you." The name Remi hit like another shock. I had met Remi a few times at campus events, the outgoing marketing major with a sharp wit and a protective streak toward Amelia. If she found out, what would happen? We sat down at the small table, talking for hours while the coffee grew cold. Amelia poured out her heart about the years of hiding her true self from her own family in California, the pressure to be normal. The way meeting me during freshman orientation had made her question if she could ever be happy pretending. I listened, my own thoughts tangled in a web of fear and an unexpected curiosity. By the end of the day we had agreed to take it slow, to figure out what this meant for our friendship and maybe more. But deep down I knew the storm was just beginning. The weight of her words pressed on my chest as I tried to focus on my laptop for a class assignment, but every sentence blurred into the memory of her whisper. That evening, as we cooked pasta together like always, the silence between us felt heavier than before. Amelia kept glancing at me when she thought I wasn't looking, and I caught myself doing the same. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother back in Texas asking when I was bringing home a boyfriend for the holidays. I deleted it without replying. Amelia noticed my tense shoulders and asked softly, "Everything okay?" I forced a smile. "Just family stuff." She did not push, but the understanding in her eyes made my stomach twist. How could something so gentle feel like it was about to tear my life apart? I went to bed early, but sleep would not come. Across the room, Amelia's breathing was steady, Yet I wondered if she was lying awake too, replaying the same night. The days that followed blurred into a tense routine. Amelia and I still went to classes, still shared the tiny bathroom, still laughed at the same dumb memes on our phones, but everything carried an undercurrent now. Every accidental brush of hands while passing the salt at dinner sent a jolt through me that I tried to ignore. I told myself it was just the shock, that I was straight, that this was a phase for her and nothing more. But at night, when the apartment grew quiet, her confession replayed in my head like a song I could not turn off. On the third day, Remi showed up unannounced at our door, her usual bright smile fading the moment she saw the awkward tension between us. "Amelia, we need to talk," Remi said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. She was tall and athletic, with short cropped blonde hair and eyes that missed nothing. I excused myself to the bedroom, but the thin walls let every word through. Remi's voice rose quickly. "You ended things with me 2 months ago, and now I hear rumors you're spending all your time with your roommate. Is there someone else?" Amelia's reply was quiet at first, then firmer. "Yes. Sophia. I'm in love with her, Remi. I tried to fight it, but I can't anymore." The silence that followed was deafening. Then Remi laughed, a bitter sound. "You're throwing away what we had for a straight girl who probably thinks this is some experiment? You're going to get hurt, Amelia, and you're going to drag her down with you." I sat on my bed, heart pounding, listening to the woman I had only known as Amelia's supportive friend turn sharp and accusatory. When Remi left, slamming the door, Amelia came into my room with red eyes. "I'm sorry you had to hear that. She's angry, but she'll cool off." I wanted to believe her, but the look on Remi's face stayed with me. That night, Amelia and I talked for hours again, this time about what it meant to be gay in a world that still judged. She told me about the family dinners in California where her parents praised her good friends, but never asked about girlfriends, the way she had dated Remi in secret for a year before the guilt became too much. I shared my own fears, the way my Texas parents still sent me Bible verses about marriage whenever I mentioned being single. "I don't even know if I feel the same way," I admitted, my voice cracking. Amelia reached for my hand but stopped halfway. "You don't have to. I just needed you to know the truth." The next morning my phone rang with my mother's voice on the other end. "Sophia, honey, your cousin is getting engaged. When are you going to bring someone home? We worry about you up there in that liberal city." Her words felt like a trap closing. I hung up and stared at Amelia, who was making breakfast. "They don't get it," I said. She nodded, but her eyes held a sadness that mirrored my own. Over the following week, small moments built between us. We watched movies closer on the couch, our shoulders touching. I caught myself noticing the way her laugh lit up the room, the way her paintings in the living room now seemed to speak directly to me. But doubt gnawed constantly. Was this real? Or was I just confused because someone cared about me so deeply? Remi texted Amelia constantly, pleading for another chance, and each message Amelia showed me felt like a reminder of the price we might pay. One evening, after a long day of classes, we sat on the fire escape overlooking the city lights. Amelia turned to me. "If this is too much, I can move out. I never wanted to pressure you." Her offer was kind, but it stung. "No," I said quickly, surprising myself. "I don't want you to go." That admission hung between us, heavier than any confession. Inside, my thoughts raced. My family would never accept this. My friends at school might whisper. And Remi's anger was only growing. Yet sitting there with Amelia, the cool night air on our faces, something inside me began to shift. A quiet awakening I was not ready to name. Tension thickened like fog rolling in from Puget Sound. Remi stopped texting and started showing up at our apartment complex, waiting in the lobby or outside the building. One afternoon, as I returned from the library, she stepped in front of me. "Sophia, you need to hear this from me. Amelia is using you. She left me because she's scared of commitment, not because she loves you. You're just a safe experiment for her." Her words cut deep, planting seeds of doubt that grew overnight. I confronted Amelia that evening, my voice shaking. "Is any of what Remi says true?" Amelia's face crumpled. "No. I left Remi because being with her felt like hiding, and with you for the first time I feel seen. But I understand if you believe her." We argued for the first time, voices rising in the small living room. I accused her of dragging me into her mess. She accused me of running back to the safety of what my family expected. Tears flowed on both sides, but when the shouting stopped, we sat in silence, exhausted. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I never meant to hurt anyone." That night I lay awake again, replaying every moment since the discovery. My phone lit up with another call from my mother, this time asking why I sounded distant lately. I lied and said school was stressful. The guilt twisted in my stomach like a knife. How long could I keep hiding this from them? The next day brought a bigger blow. Remi emailed me screenshots of old messages between her and Amelia. Conversations where Amelia had once said she could never love anyone the way she loved Remi. "See," Remi wrote. "She'll do the same to you." I showed Amelia the email, and her reaction was immediate pain. "Those were from before I met you." I was confused then, but the damage was done. I pulled away, spending more time at the campus coffee shop alone, questioning every feeling. Amelia respected the space, but her eyes followed me whenever we were in the same room. The apartment, once a sanctuary, now felt like a battlefield of unspoken words. Then my parents announced they were coming to visit for a weekend. Panic set in. I told Amelia, and she offered to stay with a friend, but I refused. "They can't know." "Not yet." The visit was torture. My mother hugged me tightly, commenting on how thin I looked, while my father grilled me about my future. Amelia played the perfect platonic roommate, making polite conversation and even cooking her famous lasagna. But every time our eyes met across the dinner table, the secret burned. When my parents finally left, praising how stable my life seemed, I collapsed on the couch. Amelia sat beside me, not touching, just present. "You don't have to choose between them and this," she said softly. But I knew the choice was coming, and it terrified me. That week, the university's LGBTQ support group flyer appeared on our fridge, placed there by Amelia without a word. I stared at it for hours before tearing it down. Yet later that night, I searched online for stories of women like me. Women who had questioned everything after one confession. The articles mirrored my confusion, my fear of losing family, my slow realization that maybe love did not have to look the way my parents said it should. When I told Amelia I had read them, she smiled for the first time in days. "You don't have to decide tonight. Just know I'm here." Her patience chipped away at my walls, and for the first time, I let myself imagine what a future with her might look like, even if it meant facing everything I had been taught to fear. The confrontation exploded on a rainy Thursday evening. Remi showed up at our door with two friends, her face set in determination. "Amelia, you owe me the truth in front of Sophia. Tell her how you promised me forever, and then dropped me the moment you moved in with her." Amelia stood her ground, but her voice wavered. "I never promised forever, Remi. We were both hiding who we were. Sophia makes me want to stop hiding." Remi turned to me, eyes blazing. "She'll hide you too. Her family will never accept this, and neither will yours. You're both going to lose everything for something that won't last." The argument spilled into the hallway, neighbors peering outdoors. I finally shouted, "Enough! This is between us, not you." Remi left, but not before warning. "I'm not done. Someone has to protect Amelia from herself." The door slammed and Amelia sank to the floor, sobbing. I knelt beside her, my hand finally resting on her shoulder the way hers had that first night. "We can't keep doing this," I said. "The hiding, the fighting, the guilt." She looked up, eyes red but hopeful. "Then don't hide. Not with me." In that moment, something broke open inside me. I leaned in and kissed her, soft and tentative, the first time I had ever kissed a woman. The world did not end. Instead, warmth spread through me, chasing away the cold fear for a few precious seconds. But reality crashed back quickly. The next morning, my mother called in tears. "Remi contacted us through Facebook. She said you're involved with your roommate in a way that's not right." "Sophia, tell me it's a lie." My stomach dropped. Remi had betrayed us, outing me to my family before I was ready. I hung up, shaking, and told Amelia. Her face went pale. "I never wanted this for you." We spent the day in silence, each processing the cost. My phone blew up with texts from aunts and uncles, some praying for me, others demanding explanations. The pressure felt suffocating, like the walls of our apartment were closing in. That night, Amelia and I talked until sunrise. She shared stories of her own coming out struggles, the therapy sessions her parents forced her into as a teen, the way she had learned to smile through the pain. I told her about growing up in church, the sermons that made me feel broken for even wondering about girls. I don't know if I'm strong enough for this, I admitted. She took my hand. You don't have to be strong alone. We figure it out together. Her words gave me courage, but the fear remained. The next day I skipped classes and drove to a quiet park, sitting under a tree to think. Images of my parents' disappointed faces mixed with the memory of Amelia's kiss. When I returned, Amelia had cooked my favorite meal, a small act of care that nearly broke me again. We ate in silence, but the air between us had shifted from tension to something deeper, a shared understanding of the battle ahead. Family pressure reached its peak when my parents booked tickets to Seattle without asking. They arrived 2 days later, faces tight with worry and judgment. My mother hugged me but pulled back quickly, scanning the apartment as if searching for evidence. My father spoke first. We raised you better than this, Sophia. This girl has confused you. Come home with us. We'll get you help. Amelia stood in the kitchen, polite but firm. Mr. and Mrs. Ramirez, I love your daughter. I'm not trying to take her from you. The words only fueled the fire. My mother cried, quoting scripture, while my father demanded Amelia leave the room. I felt torn in two, caught between the love I had always known and the one I was just discovering. The argument lasted hours. I defended Amelia, my voice stronger than I expected. This isn't confusion. For the first time, I feel like I'm being honest with myself. My parents left that night, saying they needed time but making it clear the door to their support was closing. The silence after they drove away was heavier than any before. Amelia held me while I cried, her arms steady. You chose me over them. I never wanted you to have to choose. But I had, and the weight of that choice settled on my shoulders like concrete. Remi texted again, apologizing for contacting my parents but claiming it was for my own good. I blocked her number, the act feeling both liberating and final. Over the next week, friends at school started pulling away. Whispers followed me in the hallways, and one professor even suggested I take a leave of absence to sort personal matters. Amelia faced similar isolation, her art critique group suddenly cold. We leaned on each other harder, late nights talking about the future, about moving to a new city if needed, about building a life where we did not have to apologize for loving each other. One evening we walked along the waterfront, the rain softening the city lights. Amelia stopped and turned to me. No matter what happens, I'm grateful you heard me that night. Even if it cost us everything. I kissed her again, this time without hesitation, the rain mixing with the tears on our faces. In that moment the fear felt smaller than the certainty growing inside me. But the sacrifices mounted. I lost a part-time job after my boss heard rumors. Amelia's parents called, furious that Remi had spread the story to them too. The isolation tested us daily. Yet each time doubt crept in, Amelia's quiet strength reminded me why I had taken the risk. We started attending a small support group on campus. Anonymous at first, listening to other women share stories of loss and eventual peace. Their words gave me language for the turmoil inside. The moral tug-of-war between duty to family and duty to my own heart. Months passed in a blur of small victories and deeper wounds. Amelia and I found a new apartment across town, smaller and more expensive, but ours without the ghosts of the old one. We decorated it slowly, hanging her paintings on the walls and filling shelves with books we read together. My family's calls grew rarer, each one a reminder of the bridge we had burned. Remi faded from our lives after one final angry message, her betrayal leaving scars but also clarity. I had lost pieces of the life I thought I was supposed to have, but I had gained something I never knew I needed. The freedom to love without apology. One quiet evening, sitting on our tiny balcony with coffee in hand, Amelia turned to me. Do you ever regret hearing me that night? I looked at her, the woman whose whisper had upended my world, and answered honestly. No. It hurt more than I ever imagined, but it woke me up. We sat in comfortable silence, the city humming below us. The journey had been filled with confrontations, tears, and impossible choices, each one exacting a price from everyone involved. My parents still sent occasional messages, stiff and careful, while Amelia's family remained distant. Friends had scattered, and society's judgment lingered in sideways glances. Yet here we were, two women who had chosen each other despite it all. The inner conflict that once consumed me had transformed into a steady resolve. I understood now that love demanded sacrifice, that right and wrong were not always clear lines drawn by family or faith. Amelia had paid with her past relationship, I had paid with my family's approval, and together we paid with the comfort of belonging. But the awakening was real. I was no longer the girl pretending to fit a mold. I was Sophia, in love with Amelia, building something honest even if it was imperfect. As the sun set over the Seattle skyline, painting the sky in soft oranges and pinks, I squeezed her hand. The road ahead would still be hard, filled with more decisions and more costs. But for the first time I felt ready to walk it. Was choosing to follow my heart the right decision, even when it meant hurting the people I loved most? Or was the real mistake believing that hiding the truth could ever protect anyone?